Okay, I'm going to get started, even though there aren't people in the room right now, just because I kind of want to go through this. Earlier, when I did my live, one of you guys pointed out that I said I would do a video on homeschooling, and I had not done that. So I decided I'd break this up into parts. I would do this first video on uh, what materials I use. And then, like I said, I will do actual drills and stuff like that, but I will put those up on my Patreon. So if you're interested in homeschooling, this will be the video for you. If you're not interested in homeschooling, you may not really enjoy this video, but that's okay. Just do what you can. I'm going to lower you because we're going to go into this cabinet right here. So, as you guys know, I'm in the process of moving. And so these are the things to my cabinet, but my homeschool supplies are in there. So let's have a quick look at them. I'm going to have to like jimmy this open because I haven't attached the handles. So let me do that. I can't see who's where. So hold on. Hi to you guys. I can't actually see who you guys are yet because I'm not looking at the chat. The water's ice cold still. Another joy of life, I have no hot water. My hot water has been randomly going out. I literally can't get in my own cabinet, y'all, because I can't do it because I haven't attached the handles. It's made life very hard. And it's not that I don't have the handles. What I don't have is I don't have the screws. And the town I live in is super small, and I haven't found a hardware store. So it's just the joy of joys right now that I'm dealing with. There's like no Ace Hardware. I can't get it open. Hold on. This is like what you do when you move and then you put your screws in the wrong place. You can't get in your own cabinet. There we go. All right. So in the cabinet, I'm going to show you what's in this cabinet, and then we're going to have to, let me see if I can bring you guys closer. And then we're going to have to go over to my other cabinet, and I will show you what's in that cabinet. And I guess I'll close those blinds so that you guys can actually see me. Okay. That's not a lot better. So, but I tried because I know the glow has been real today. So let's take a look at this cabinet first. And I don't think this is a live that's going to appeal to all of you guys, but it will appeal to those of you, like I said, who have an interest in homeschooling. The 14th Amendment thing I addressed in my last live, which is why I just went ahead and I changed the name of this one. Let me look at the chat so that I can say hi to those of you that are here. Okay. So hi, Dark Prophet. Hi, Virtuous One. Always nice to see you. Yes. Go ahead. I actually was watching Nyla's too. Hers is on Fathers, which is awesome. And I wish that one was more popular. I feel like her drama-filled ones get like high listening, and her Father series not so much. So I was actually over there watching it too. I've already moved Snuggle. Apparently, it's just so much easier than pre-recording Invisible E. Yeah, the blinds didn't help. I know. It's still bright as all get up. Hello, Darius. Hello, Lando. Really? Free dinner where? Hi, Ledford. Okay, so let's get into it. Again, this is not going to be the live for everybody. This is just going to be the live for the people who wanted me to do a homeschool video. So stick around if you don't have kids and you want to homeschool. Don't stick around. That's totally fine. I committed to making this. So I want to make sure that I make it. What is going on with this? It just seems a little blurry. Sorry. Okay. So let's do it. In this particular, and mind you, everything I have is not unpacked yet, but in this particular cabinet, I have books, my curriculum, like the books that I use. And so some of my essentials are lots of whiteboard markers because we love a magnetic whiteboard. And these I get from Lakeshore Learning, and I think these are pretty essential. I actually have a video on spelling drills, and I use, not these, but I use my other magnetic letters. But these are not just the alphabet, but they're also your word parts. And so we have here, for example, we have a, ing, all of those, and we have them mixed up with the vowels and the consonants. And so, like I said, I will upload on my Patreon the actual drills that I do with these, but these are magnetic. So we have ow, and it helps to break the words into parts. So what I will do, for example, is I will give just some of these to a child, and I will say, spell some words for me. What words can you spell with that? So we have like spl and oi. So these are really good. I get these from Lakeshore Learning. Like I said, they're just magnetic, and I like to use those for my whiteboard drills. So that is that. Something else that I'm really fond of, and I have this in many forms, this just happens to be the form that's in front of me, are tanagrams. These are simple tanagrams. I would use tanagrams like this for small children, like 2-3-year-olds. I know that sounds really early, but I promise you that my 3-year-old can do these by himself. And so this is a good segue into more complex tanagrams. But more importantly than a complex tanagram, tanagrams are a segue into geometric solids and planes. And so this is an example of a geometric solid that we use for school. And the reason I say that these, for your little ones, are a good segue into these is because with the geometric solids, when you open up the planes, speaking of children, when you open up the planes, it would go something like this. You would have a plane lying out, and you would ask a child, what is this? What shape is this, right? And so we would say this is obviously a hexagonal pyramid. But when they see the planes laid out, and I have a lot of them. So if people are like, what is the purpose of a tanagram, right? Other than the obvious, I would say it would be introduction into this. And when you do IQ tests, this is often, if you've ever taken an IQ test, you know that planes come into play in IQ test. They will have a plane laid out, and they'll ask, like, what shape is that? Like, if you folded this shape, or if you open this shape up, what would it look like? And so that's where our geometric solids come in handy. And like I said, I'm a big fan of Lakeshore Learning for this because they actually provide teaching supplies for schools. So here goes another one. We know that this is obviously going to be a cone. We can also teach, and like I said, when we talk about segues, right? We talk about segues into what we can teach our kids. We start with the geometric solids. Obviously, these are all wooden. We have the pieces that go with it. So this would be like your 2-year-old, your 3-year-old, depending on where your child is. It could be your 4 or 5-year-old. Then we have the tanagrams that are not color-coded, right? Which I don't have in front of me, so we won't bother with that. And then we expand on that by then bringing them into geometric solids, and we introduce the geometric solids as such. And then we introduce them to the planes. And then we can piggyback on that with these three-dimensional puzzles. So again, it's just getting a hands-on visual to allow the child to determine how they can view shapes and tangibles in different ways. And this all seems very abstract, and you're like, how will this help like functionally? But we can come into that. We do the introduction and we make it a game, we make it fun. And so I would say like these are some of my homeschool essentials for sure. Tanagrams, geometric solids, planes, three-dimensional puzzles. I like the wooden puzzles. So here's one that's put together. This is a really easy one. I know it doesn't look easy, but it is very easy. And here's another one that is not fully put together. All the pieces are not here. It's ultimately like a flattened can. It's not quite a cylinder, but it's getting there. So this is like another geometric puzzle. It's just a three-piece, three-dimensional puzzle. Really, really simple. And then we have more complicated ones. We have planes. We have dogs. Like we move out of like the shapes and we move into other things. So all of those things, believe it or not, the tanagrams, the geometric solids, the geometric planes, the three-dimensional puzzles, they all pander to the same sort of thought process. And it really helps your child with abstract thinking. So moving on, other things that I really enjoy. Hi, Marcus Love. Other things that I really enjoy that are good for younger children are these puzzles. So I do like puzzles and I like games, but if you walk around my house, you'll find that most of the things in my house that the kids play with are educational. I have absolutely no games in my house that are like cartoon based or things like that have one side of play. Everything's open play, but I do prefer educational. So this is another one. This could be anyone from your 1-year-old to your 7-year-old, depending on where they are. So I have an advanced reader and I have a reader who is not as advanced. So these would be good for her. And it's just a puzzle. It's got a picture. It's got the letters. And then the child goes through the letter box to find the wooden letter. And then they spell it out. And there are words on both sides. Just lots of reading reinforcement. So let's keep going with other things. And I guess I can go ahead and pull out. So this is one of our small whiteboards. We have a huge whiteboard, which is what I do my drills on. And like I said, I do have drill videos, but those are private. So I'll put them up on my Patreon just for like the $5 and up. Like it's not like a big deal. I just don't want them here on this platform. So this is what just going back to our magnetic for reading. So I would just throw a bunch of these on the board, or I would lay these out, and I would and again, there are vowels and such, and I would allow the child to familiarize themselves with the sound. So I'd say this is E, then I might do E, like an actual E, to teach them similar sound patterns. And then I might ask them to spell. I might say, so here's all this. How many words can you spell with what I've given you? And then they can do cane, right? My C is upside down, but whatever. They could do whatever came to their mind. I would give them that opportunity to do those things. So that's one way that we would use this tiny whiteboard. Another way that we would use it, because this is just one of our magnetic spelling drills that we do. Another one of my favorites is this one right here. So it's a magnetic classrooms letter kit. All of the vowels are in red and all of the consonants are in blue. So you open it up and they're compartmentalized like this. And this is actually more advanced than, let's say, these, the ones I just showed you. I feel this is more advanced because nothing is already put together. So whereas we have the R sound right here, here the child has to make it. So I feel like this is more advanced, and this reinforces vowels and consonants on a base level because it doesn't really come into semi-vowels, which I think are very important, your W's, your Y's, things like that. So that's something you have to teach separately. I haven't really seen a good kit for semi-vowels, but we would do spelling drills with these as well, and word drills. So mostly we do sentences and things like that when we use these. And if I want to make spelling a little bit easier or really drive home homophones, things like that, then I will break into the ones that I showed you earlier. And we'll use a mini whiteboard or a big whiteboard for that. What else do we have in here? Because I have kids of different ages, I have different levels of work. So these are always good to have. These are, again, whiteboard. Well, I'm calling them whiteboards, but they're erase pads. So you can write on them and then erase it. So this really saves on buying lots of paper. And these are just the alphabet. And I think these ones are really, really good. This particular one is from Lakeshore Learning. Like I said, I'm pretty much addicted to Lakeshore Learning. I love everything that they make because actual teachers purchase from there. And so these are good for, and I actually have a cursive version of this, but these are just manuscript. And it's just the letter and then a word. So it's R, uppercase, lowercase, and then rainbow. You've probably seen this a lot, but I think these are really good if you have multiple kids, or if you just don't want to waste money, or if you want to be able to pass it down, donate it to your church, things like that. Following, when you use them, in my case, I just have multiple ages. Something else that I love are these little clocks. Believe it or not, there are a lot, and it goes on two sides, and I'll show both of the sides. Believe it or not, there are a lot of children, teenagers even, that can't tell analog time. So obviously we teach everything. We teach analog time. We teach longhand math, all of those things, like very old fashioned with it. I agree, Marcus Love. Homeschooling is superior to public education. Thank you, Paul. So with that said, this little hand actually says hour on it. This one says minute on it. It gives the breakdown of the minutes for the child. And then there is an expansion on that on the other side, which is beneficial for the child too. So these are really good. And then we also make these. Again, I'm just taking you through what we have here. Let's see. Something else I think is really useful when you're starting out, I will create folders for my children. I don't have any children that are still in a folder now. In the folder, we'll have their sheet work. It will have one of these boards in it, which is essentially a whiteboard that has the alphabet on it, upper and lowercase. This is good for younger children to help them remember. And it's also good, instead of scratch paper, you can give them a board. And again, this just saves on supplies. And then if they're working out a problem, they can work it out on their board, they can erase. And then you don't have to constantly be going for scratch paper. If you want to see a sentence, you can have it here. If you want to make a list for them, you can have it here. So when I create their folders, I always stick one of these in there. And maybe I can show you, like I said, I don't have kids that are in folders now, but maybe I can show you in the future how I build the folders until they reach a level where they can do open work, which is something that is a little bit different than what we normally do. Okay, so with that said, let me put this stuff away, and I'm going to show you the books that I work out of. So a lot of people have asked me about curriculum, and I have to say that I'm not a big fan of like curriculum across the board. What are you two doing?
I'm reading this. I'm going to see what tractors
Do you have permission, sweetie? But do you have permission to be inside, right? And then where's your sister? Because what's the rule?
Always stay with her.
Together. Okay. So my daughter has a book club with our neighbor's daughter, which is really cute. I don't know if they don't watch TV like my daughters can't, but they have a book club. It's adorable. I love it. It's super cute. But with that said, the neighbor's daughter was trying to come over here so they could go to my daughter's room and read a book. And I was like, do you have permission from your mom? Because I know I wouldn't want anybody to let my child in their house. And then also my daughters have a rule. Fortunately, the neighbors have a daughter that's my eldest daughter's age and a daughter that's my youngest daughter's age. But the rule for my daughters, because this is a lot of freedom for them to be able to like come in and out and play across the street, is that they have to stay together because they're safer as a pair. Anyway, just some mom stuff. And I think she was irritated by it, but I just don't really care. Because I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to raise babies. So with that said, let's get into the books that I use. And again, if you're just coming in, this is all just homeschooling stuff because it was requested. And so I know everybody's not going to be in love with this. Hi, Antoine. So I know that everybody's not going to be in love with this, but this is for those parents that were asking me specifically to do a video on homeschooling. So I want to make sure that I do that. And again, I will be putting the drills and things where I'll feature the girls and we'll be doing real drills, like real assignments and things like that to give you ideas, but that will be on my Patreon. So let's go through the books. Let's go through our readers first. So these are my readers. Let me see if I can get them out without creating a disaster for myself. These are the readers I like to use. And I don't have my reinforcement ones here, but I will just tell you what they are in case you're interested. I'm not going to pull all the readers out. I'm just going to give some examples. So this is, for example, a 1.2 reader. It's a beginning reader. There's one before this. It's 1.1. In the beginning, for 1.1 and 1.2, I like to present the readers two ways because there are your state standards and then there are the universal standards. I prefer to do teaching from the universal standards because I feel that they are just harder than the individual state standards. Specifically for me, the state of California standards to me are very remediated. So I don't know how your state is, but that's why I like to teach from the universal standards. And so what I'll do is I'll do the first presentation of a reader with the California standard because it's very simple. So I'll show you the difference. And these are Houghton Mifflin. I love Houghton Mifflin readers. I also have a set of their literary readers that sit on the bookshelf in my youngest daughter's room. It goes up to about an 8th grade reading level with those. And I like those as reinforcement. One, because you don't have to worry about the content and what is written in them. They're very moral-based stories. So if you have a Christian home, they're really good readers to use. But I want to show you the difference between a universal standard reader and a California standard reader or a state-oriented standard reader. So we'll start from the first page. So Billionaire Bit Club said, hi, Irene, thanks for sharing. I hybrid homeschool my son using the classical Christian model curriculum. He goes to campus once a week. Awesome. Do I believe in vouchers so people can use the money on homeschool or any school that is available? Trump Chicken, I actually did a whole, you got permission?
I can stay for 3.
Okay. Do you need me to keep timer or you guys got the time?
I got it.
Okay. So, where's her sister? Okay. Okay. So, I do, and I did a video on my feelings about the voucher program. It depends on the execution, right? I do like the school choice vouchers in theory, but how that plays out would be different. I like the school choice vouchers for homeschoolers as long as you don't have to adhere to the state curriculum, because there are a whole list of things. You know, you can't get things from the government for free ever. Okay. So homeschool vouchers sound nice for Christian families until they want you to indoctrinate your children into their rhetoric, and then it stops being cute. I like them for the idea of private schools, if they can be used on private schools. And I talked about this in that video. Like, that's a way that we could see funding for private schools and things like that. Christian private schools, if you have like a culturally centered private school, like a private school just for Black children or private school just for Christian children, things like that. So in theory, I think it's a good idea. I actually went over the verbiage of the budget for that, but again, how that flushes out at the state level is going to be really the meat and bones of it. And then so I reserve my feelings on that until we know really how this is going to play out and how widely available it is. But in theory, yes, obviously I'm in support of that. So if I look at page 15 on both, okay, so they're almost exactly the same. Almost, right? They're almost exactly the same. There are a few, they're almost exactly the same on the initial story, but where we start to see the differences are in the reader part itself. So for example, in the California Standard book, the story is it can get cool. We can jump in the leaves. Rick can pack 10 big sacks full of leaves. That's the California version. It can get cool. We can jump in the leaves. Rick can pack 10 big sacks of 10 big sacks full of leaves. That's the California version. The Universal Standards version is a little less retarded. It says, fall is here, which is better. It can get cool. Lots of leaves fit into a sack. I will pack 10 sacks full of leaves. More complete sentences, a little deeper in depth with the thought, but it's good to start with the remediated version if your child is having difficulty. So I like to keep both versions and then move them to the harder version. That is my personal preference. And so these readers that I have go up pretty far. These are all 1 point. I think I use these through second grade, and then I don't use the readers as my go-to for teaching reading anymore. But Houghton Mifflin for reading is what I prefer. I don't use a curriculum across the board. I cherry pick what I like about certain curriculums. So for reading, I would go with Houghton Mifflin. That's my personal preference. If you want to see what one of the second grade readers look like, it's a little bit thicker, obviously, and a little more interactive and in depth. So that's where I would go for that. When I talk, let's get to science in a minute. I'll get to science. So after that point, when we get into third and fourth grade, again, I stick for reading and spelling with Houghton Mifflin just because I don't want to have to worry about homosexuality creeping in. I don't want to have to worry about just weird topics. So I like to just stick with Houghton Mifflin because I kind of know what I'm getting. And so we move into spelling and vocabulary. We use them for that. We also use them for social studies, not history and not science, but social studies. We use Houghton Mifflin as well. We also have some Houghton Mifflin math books, but we also do have some Harcourt math as well. So I won't literally pull all of those out. We also use Houghton Mifflin for English. So we do that as well. So somebody mentioned Christian-based curriculum, and so I'll show you the two types of Christian-based curriculum that I do use. It makes little sense to have a huge supply of vouchered parents and no new schools to choose from. That's true. I would hope it would encourage people to open private schools. I would hope, or support the private school system, but you never know. What did you miss? What did you miss? Okay, so let's get into science. So currently, what my daughter is using is the physical world science. This is a Christian curriculum. It's an introduction to physical science for Christian schools. This is what my eldest daughter is using right now. This is actually past her grade level, but for me, and this is why I put a lot of emphasis on reading. For me, if your child reads at a higher level, then you can teach them science, history, all of those things at a higher level, because a lot of that is repetition with more detail. So science, if you look through science textbooks for like first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth, it's like the same thing over and over, but in more depth. So if their child's comprehension and reading are at a higher level, I will just teach at the higher level. So right now, that's why she is technically, I think she would be fifth grade. But while we might do, let's say, math at a fifth grade level, well, she's probably fourth grade, but we do fifth grade math. While we'll do math at a fifth grade level, this book is more advanced, and I use it because I can, because her comprehension and her reading are to a place where I can just do that. So I do. I don't see the point in staying with remediated lesson plans if it's not essential to the child. So it's not just the reading that has to be good, it's the comprehension. And I will show you what I use for reading comprehension. That is in my other bookshelf. It's not over here, which is why I'm not showing it now. So let's put these up. But I will say that I do have other science books here. I have Houghton Mifflin. I just like Houghton Mifflin. And these are school textbooks. These are not geared towards homeschoolers. So I also have Houghton Mifflin science here, but it's not my preference. And when I do the physical science, I have the binders. This binder just has student notes, tests, and then it also has the key to the tests. And then let me just show you my world history as well. Oh, yeah, there's also the workbook that goes with the physical science. So all of these things go together. So let's take a look at the world history as well. Oh, thank you so much, Nikki. I really appreciate that. I'm happy to have you here. So when we look at history, right now, this is the history book my eldest child is using. Okay, so let me say my personal preference. I do not teach history early. I don't. I don't teach history, not even by grade level. I teach it when I think my child can have a meaningful dialogue about history. I think history, when it's taught like to young children, is taught for the purpose of indoctrination. And I want to teach history not for indoctrination, but for education. So I think that distinction makes me teach history later, because I want to be able to engage in conversations with my child about history, because history is one of those subjects that is highly subjective, right? Historical fact gets very muddled with the perception of the person that's telling the story. I've said this before. One of my mom's husbands, something he said to me, he was a Black Muslim. He said, history is just that, his story. And that has stuck with me to my adult life. And so because of that, I'm a little bit like, when I teach history, I like to teach it later at an older age where they can do critical thinking. So what we're doing right now is world history, and this is world history for Christian schools. It starts in biblical times and then it moves forward. And so that's what we're using right now. And this is actually just, this is the teacher's edition right here. But obviously we have the book and the workbook that go along with it. So yeah, so higher level science, we teach science for Christian schools. Lower level science, we use Houghton Mifflin. Anything reading, spelling, English, we use Houghton Mifflin. Lower level history, I don't teach. I don't teach history until advanced levels. So my eldest daughter, for example, is the only one that does history right now. So that's basically how I do it. And this is what the book for history for Kristen, the world history book looks like. So this is actually her book, and then this is my book. So yeah, that's that. And I'm going to take you guys over to, I don't know if for those of you who missed my talk of geometric solids and all of that, the planes and all that, that's at the beginning of this live. So you can scroll back to see that. But I'm going to go ahead and take you guys over to my other bookshelf because outside of books, I feel like a lot of kids, you have to think like every kid doesn't learn the same. So I gear a lot of my materials toward kinesthetic learners, and I also gear a lot of my materials toward learning and play. And I think that can be applicative to children at multiple ages. So, yeah, love Houghton Mifflin. I agree, Nikki. It is awesome. So yes, it is the best. So let's go ahead and I'm going to take you guys to my other shelf. I'm going to put this stuff up and then we're going to go over to the other shelf. And actually, before we do, I'm going to give you guys a look at some of the materials because these are my direct curriculum. But I keep material when you homeschool. If you don't want to be running to the library all the time, if you don't want your kid online, you have to have supplemental things around the house. So there are no TVs in my house. So I'm going to show you what kind of things I keep around my house that allow my children to do research, that allow them to do educational reading, because everything doesn't have to be taught from a book. And then I'm going to take you to my other bookshelf and show you my interactive curriculum because I'm big on interactive curriculum. That's like one of my favorite things for children. I think it's hugely important. Hold on, y'all. You guys have me in here pulling out all my books, and now I gotta get them all back in there again. So hold on a second. Okay. I have less bookshelves in this house than I'm used to, so I am being very makeshifty. This is not normally where this stuff is kept, but like I said, this house is half the size of my other house, like less than half the size of my other house that we just moved from, because where we live, they don't make big houses, and when they do, they are weirdly laid out. So I had to get very creative with my books, and honestly, I have curriculum in our garage right now because there just wasn't enough room for everything that we have. So yeah, the joys of moving to a smaller place. So we're just going to put all this back. I'm going to show you what's on this particular shelf. Mind you, this is not the only bookshelf here. We have books hidden everywhere, y'all. There are bookshelves in the girls' rooms. There are just bookshelves galore around here. So we take reading very seriously in this house. All right, so that is that. Put our puzzles back up. And let me show you what is on this bookshelf itself. Oh, sorry. Some of our geometric solids are still out too. I have to put this stuff away. I don't know. I feel like maybe some people do videos and they like clean up afterward. I can't, y'all. It will drive me crazy. Are you guys going back out?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just finished cleaning up this room. She said that she's gonna keep all her clothes since that's in my room.
Can she do that though? She needs permission.
And all my books, I bought them.
We still need parental permission for that life.
Yeah, my permission for sure.
I'm sure she's got your permission. I don't know how these people raise their kids out here, because let me tell you something. I wish my kids would try to have a thought about doing something without getting my permission. That would be the day. But I don't know. Everybody's different with their children. There's a homeschooling mom across the street. And oh no. Maybe her kids don't have to ask permission for as much as my kids do. We'll see. Irene, do you teach other children or just your own? Right now, I just teach my own children, Nikki. If a child is with me, they're going to learn something, but I don't teach my own children. Hi, Gab. If there are at least 10 Black people in a room, one will be on that Back to Africa BS. What are you talking about? This is not that live. This live is just for people interested in homeschooling. You're homeschooling right now? Well, awesome. That is awesome. Okay, so let's take a look. I want to show you guys, okay, at this bookshelf. So we have lots of encyclopedia. We have a set here. This is our Britannica. I want to get the last Britannica. You'll know it's the last one because it's black. But then we also have over there, which is the bookshelf that we're going to, other reference books. And there's also another set of encyclopedia in one of my daughter's rooms. But things that I like, I collect antiquarian books. And so I do keep some of them around for research purposes. So we have like a nature encyclopedia. So this is really great to have. We have science encyclopedias, chemistry, physics, the heavens, the animal world, things like that. Many dictionaries. This one's very old. This is one of my oldest. I have one that is about 200 years old on the other shelf. Also, lots of just different reference books about different animals, kind of like a library. These aren't all of them. These are just some of them. But we have them scattered throughout the house so that when your child is doing reports and things like that, your home is like a library and they can do a lot of their research there. On this bookshelf with this really awful, this is his fault. So you can see we have books that haven't even made it on the shelf. Those cords are my man's fault because we won't talk about that. But on this bookshelf and inside of it is all, most of those books are about Black people, Black history, teaching Black people, plights of Black people, books by Black authors, stuff like that. So I'm going to take you guys over to the other bookshelf and we're going to look at our tangible curriculum, which is my favorite way to teach. So let's go over there. I'm going to try not to lose you people as I carry 80,000 things over to the other side. Okay. Let's see. So I want to set up over here. See what we can do. Don't mind all of my pictures. These are all the pictures that I still have to hang up. I have a lot of pictures I haven't hung up yet. Okay, you guys. Oh, let's see what we can do here. I feel like no matter where I go in my house, there's sunlight. That actually makes me feel kind of good. Well, there's so much sunlight in my home. Right, let me bring you over here to this bookshelf, which has more reference books. One of my favorite books, let me show you. This is very messy, just don't judge. Like, we use this stuff. Oh, you're doing subtracting, adding a negative? Are you doing it on paper or using tangibles? Do you think you shouldn't be so strict so they can be more independent and think for themselves? Or do you think you should be strict so they learn to behave better? So I feel like I strike a balance between independence and strictness. So, for example, they are able to play outside across the street with our neighbor, but they have rules. The girls have to stay together. Things are for their safety. The thing is that my level of strictness or not being strict is for their safety. It's not for my personal pleasure. If you watch my biblical discipline video, you'll understand my discipline strategy is all about making them personally accountable and responsible for themselves. But I have to do my job as a parent, and we don't live in a world where children can just do whatever they want and run amok. So I'm more concerned with their safety and health than I am with them feeling free. They have their whole life to be free. Right now, their children, my children are age appropriate children. They don't act like little adults. They don't put their hands on their hip. They don't do stuff like that. They're age appropriate. And I think sometimes in this world, we are very used to seeing children act like adults and behave and do things that are more mature. And so when we meet a child that acts age appropriate, that can be startling to us. But I'm a fan of children acting age appropriate. So I do the things so that my children can act age appropriate and have age appropriate freedom. That's how I roll over here in this camp. But everybody has their own parenting style. In the case of that little girl, she was talking about bringing over her book collection and leaving in my daughter's room. And I said she needed her mom's permission. Now, her mom may not feel she needs her permission, but for my house, you need an adult to co-sign what you're doing. Or like our neighbor's daughter was coming into my home. My children can't go into other people's homes because I don't trust you with my kid. But if her daughter wants to come in my home, I need to know that a parent has approved that. So some people don't care. They just let their kid go in anybody's home. But I'm not that parent. So I guess it just depends. Yeah, people are crazy nowadays. That's so correct, Vicki. Thank you, David. Okay, so with that said, let's look at our tangibles. This is Monopoly. I guess we could say it's educational. But you know what I found out when we were playing Monopoly yesterday? So this is a new Monopoly board. They took the math out of Monopoly. Remember when you landed like on income tax, you could pay 10% or $200? Well, it's not like that anymore. They just took the 10% out. So somebody landed on income tax and I'm like, ooh, we get to do math, 10%. Oh no, there's no more math in Monopoly. That is not happening. So let's talk about my tangibles because I like learning to be fun. So one of my favorite puzzle groups are Melissa and Doug. I love their puzzles. Their puzzles are flippin' awesome. And a good example of this is the US puzzle, the USA puzzle. And I'm going to show you why I love this puzzle. This is like essential. Look at this. This is Wyoming. This is why I love this puzzle. This is Arkansas. Yes, each state, almost all the states are like this. This is Nebraska. This is really, really good that the states are broken up this way because this is more than a puzzle at that point. It definitely gets them to orient like where these states are in real time. It's a big puzzle. It's a big like coffee table size puzzle. Maybe a little smaller than a coffee table, but you'll need a coffee table to put it together. Montana, but I like that each state is separate. So I highly recommend Melissa and Doug States puzzle. I also have one for Canada, and I have a world puzzle by Melissa and Doug. And I absolutely love these. I love that the states are separate. Absolutely love it. So those are one of my tangibles. And this can come many different ways. So I actually have a video, and I'll probably definitely put this one up on my Patreon with my youngest child, who I rarely talk about, but I have a 3-year-old. And he and I are doing this puzzle. And what we do, because he doesn't necessarily know the states because he's little, is we talk about what's on it, right? We talk about the animals. I'll make reference to the state. That will be a really good video for you guys to watch. He also does the tanagram I showed you when I said it works. He was 2 years old when I filmed it, and he's doing the tanagram that I showed you that I felt like some people might feel was a little too advanced. So you can be creative with how you use these as you're putting them together. And different kids of different age levels can do them. So that's the United States one. And like I said, I also have a world map one. I have one for Canadian provinces. But I feel like the Canada one is not as good. So maybe I don't recommend the Canada one. I feel like the Canada one was done a little more lazy than the United States one because it's not broken up as nicely. Or maybe it was just hard to break it up nicely for Canada because the way their provinces are broken up aren't as clean cut as the US. So maybe I should just like give Melissa and Doug more credit, but I don't. Let's see. Let me have a look at the world map one. Yeah, the world map one is not broken up nearly as nice either. But it's okay. It doesn't suck. Now, you know what would be really interesting because it made me think of Brother Sanchez, the world map one. What would be really interesting would be to see a flat Earth world map for kids. I'd want to see that. We also have this one, the 7 Continents of the World Jigsaw Book. So this book has a jigsaw puzzle. Let me see if I can show you if I have any that are in there because the pieces always fall out. So we always take them out. So this one's not completely done, but I'm going to try to show it to you without a disaster. So for all 7 continents, there are, there's a puzzle. There's one puzzle for each continent. So this one is Europe. The one I showed you guys is Europe. And it has all the countries. It also shows what they're most known for. So in Switzerland, in Germany, they have car manufacturing, in Malta, they have anchovies. So that one's not completed. But so for all 7 continents, this book was made, it's called The 7 Continents of the World Jigsaw Book with 6 48-piece jigsaws. It's by 5 Mile Press, if you're interested in this. So this is another good one. These are simple tanagrams because you guys know that geometric solids, planes, and tanagrams are fun for me. And I grabbed a lot of these from Ross for like $5 a piece. These are tanagrams that are not color coded. And what you see here is literally what you get in the box. More tangibles I have are these puzzles right here. They are word puzzles. They are simple words, so I don't think any of the words are more than 4 letters, but it's a puzzle with a picture and then a sight word. These are really fun to do with your child. It helps hand-eye coordination, spelling, and it helps teach sight words. I have another puzzle similar to that. On this puzzle, I'll just show you the box. On this puzzle, well, let me just open it. It's like this. It has the y, uppercase, lowercase, yarn, yarn, and then it will have a picture of yarn that goes with it. So you get the sight word, you get the uppercase, lowercase letter, and then you get the picture. So that's a fun way to teach sight words and reading and letters. Again, you can modify what you focus on based on your child. This one is great for young children. So it'll be a picture. So this is 1 because it's only 1 car there. And then you would have like the word 1. In this case, I'm holding the word 20. Then it would be a picture with 20 items. Then on the other side of the puzzle would be the number 20. So it's a 3-piece puzzle. One side has a word, the middle has a picture, and the other side has the number written out in numeric form. So I'll show you the box for that. And this is an excellent puzzle. I mean, this puzzle is really, really good. So you can see it's like 4 hamburgers, and then the word 4 spelled out. So I really like tangibles. This next one is good for teaching body parts and reading. So it has the body part and then it has the word spelled out. And then I also have sequencing. So this one is a sequence. You can see it's like there's an egg, there's a chick, and there's a chicken. There are eggs with little babies in them, a tadpole, and then a frog. Oh, speaking of sequencing, my pet peeve is the Hungry Caterpillar book. I hate that book because it's factually inaccurate. Because butterflies don't make cocoons, they make chrysalis, moths make cocoons. So please don't ever read your child The Hungry Caterpillar. We have that book in Japanese, and I get irritated every time I look at it because honestly, butterflies do not make cocoons. I mean, why is this book so popular when like the basic science is totally wrong? Is it just me? Am I the only one that hates The Hungry Caterpillar because of that? I had to do a whole lesson with my kids about this because I was literally like my 3-year-old kept saying, butterfly cocoon. And I was like, no, butterflies do not make cocoons. Moths make cocoons. Literally, I hate The Hungry Caterpillar. I feel like no parent should read that book to their kids because that is the most like backward book ever of all time. And I just don't know why it's so popular. I don't know why a book that's completely wrong is so popular. Literally drives me crazy. Okay, so let me get you into worksheets. What do I do for worksheets? Because yes, you can have worksheets if you homeschool. That is a thing that you can have. And so I'm going to show you what I personally use as worksheets. Give me 1 second. You know, I got to put everything back, y'all. Nothing can be left out in this life. Not with Irene. It will drive me nuts. I will go crazy. And we don't want me to be crazy. Oh, here's something else that I have that you guys would probably like. Flashcards. So we have books of the Bible. I'm going to show you something I love about these books of the Bible flashcards. Okay. This could be because I'm Black that I like this. But look, Look at all the people. Do you see that? Where are my Hebrew Israelites? Y'all will love this. These are books of the Bible. It's a game, it's a flashcard game, but all the people are black. How sweet, right? Look at Obadiah. I don't know. I just love that. I get such a click, like a kick out of it. I love it so much. So these are by Answers and wait, no. Who made these? Oh, yeah, they're made by Answers in Genesis. And I absolutely love these. Love, 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 love them. So very much. Also, obviously, we have some division flashcards, but here we go. These are Lakeshore Phonics sounds. These are flashcards I definitely like. And they go a little something like this. This is the ah sound. So you see that the O, ah, top. If you have a child with a speech impediment, these are great. This is the ah sound, jack. And then on the other side, they have pictures. So those are pretty dope. Again, Lakeshore Learning is like the best ever, like the best of all time with this. Okay. Nikki asked, do I allow my children to research on the computer? No. I don't allow my children to go online at all. It's just not a place for children. And this is what I think about researching on the computer. I think that I don't want my children to think that Google is the authority on anything. I want them to research in books and then vet that research with their own research. So one of the videos I said I would do on my channel is carbon dating. So we would, for example, research that in a book, and then we would do carbon dating for ourselves. And so that's what I would encourage them to do. I think people think that Wikipedia and Google are the answers to everything. And that's just not the case. Also, like I said, online is not a place for children, in my opinion. It's barely a place for adults, to be real. So that's a problem. Is there stuff in their curriculum that regular schools don't have, but that you teach your kids? Yes, all of my Christian curriculum would be things that regular schools don't have, but that I teach my kids. I also teach my children that homosexuality is an illness and things like that. So there are just things personally based on our belief system that I teach my kids. I teach my children both evolution, micro and macro evolution. I also teach them creationism. So I teach, even though it's coming from a Christian Afrocentric perspective, I teach both things. So I teach creationism, I teach evolutionary theory. I teach both side by side, and we do compare and contrast. So yeah, I can't think of everything that is different because I didn't attend public school personally myself. I think I may have spent a year in public school when I was growing up. I attended private school. I went to a private college. So I don't know what they're teaching kids in public school, but what I do know of it, it's pretty ridiculous. I would probably teach my children flat earth theory and spherical earth theory. I don't see the problem with that. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to be scared of other people's beliefs. We really don't. We should teach all theories because a theory is just that, it's a theory. And so we should teach a rounded perspective to our children. I'm not here to indoctrinate my children on things that don't need indoctrination. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think we should teach theory equally across the board, not just the theories that we like. Yes, Nikki, puzzles are fantastic for retaining information for children and adults. It's so, so true. Yeah, sequencing is a great one. I like that one. Yeah, the Google scholars get on my nerves too, because everybody is like Googling it and then typing like they know what they're talking about. And that is annoying to me. It's definitely, definitely annoying to me. Yeah, we have to teach all theories. Oh, we're just talking about homeschooling. So I went through my tanagram, geometric solids, books, whiteboard drill stuff. I was going into my tangibles now, and now I'm going to show you guys where I get my worksheets from. My favorite places to get worksheets. So I'm going to show you guys some of that stuff right now. So let's do it. Hi, Big Sap. A scientific theory is an explanation of an aspect of the natural world that can be repeatedly tested and verified in accordance with science. No, no, that's not true, Big Sap. That's not true. That's not what scientific theory is. The very thing that makes it a theory is that it is not measurable and not demonstrable and not reproducible. Things that are measurable, demonstrable, and reproducible are not theory. So that is what separates theory from fact. Theory is just our best guess based on the information we have or information we believe to be true, but it is not measurable, it's not demonstrable, it's not producible. Don't make me come to fisticuffs with you, Big Sap, because we could fight. We could fight over this. No, books are not the authority either, which is why I said I teach my children to research and then do their own scientific research. So we research through books and then we do scientific research. And I used carbon dating as an example of that. We can research the data on carbon dating and then we try to reproduce or neutrally produce results. And I think that is the best way for people to learn. Okay, so my big, big favorite place to get worksheets is comprehensive curriculum plus practice tests. Love these. I love these. I have used them for years. If you can get your hands on them, they can get expensive, but Amazon is your friend. This is one of my favorite places to get worksheets. Get one of these for your grade level child. There's reading comp in here, there's science in here. And I know other books offer these, but I'm going to tell you, these are the good ones. Comprehensive curriculum plus practice tests. My favorite, first and only go-to place. Well, not only, but first go-to place for curriculum. And then everything else is really second to that, right? I do Brain Quest. And whenever I find little books, I will just grab them. So this one is Beginning Sounds for like a younger person. I will also go online and I have things like this for reading. And I find these online on teacher resource places and I just print them off. So, and these are all from the comprehensive. I break them off into sections like this, and I make my kids do huge sections of work at a time because I'm mean. I'm a mean mom, and that's how I roll. People have to work hard for me, but those are my big places. And as you can see, I have lots and lots of worksheets, workbooks. Let's see some that I really like. I like reading comprehension workbook and lessons and tests. This is an older one, but I like a lot of the older ones because the verbiage is more advanced. They just seem to have expected more out of children back then. So I like a lot of the older curriculum, as far as worksheets and things like that. And so I have a variety. Like it would take us so long to go through all of my worksheet curriculum and all of the workbooks that I use. But let's just say you can see that is a stack of just workbooks and worksheets that I use for my kids. Um, so yeah. So with that said, that is a peek at my curriculum overall. There's some stuff in here that is not in here that I wish was in here that's in the garage, so I can't show it to you. I mean, I could, but like, who wants to do all that work? I mean, I like y'all, but it would be a little bit of work. So let's go over to the couch. I'll chit chat with you guys for a minute, and then I'm gonna go. But I just really wanted to do this because I said that I would, and I wanted to obligate what I said. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna transfer you guys over to the couch. Could you guys hear me that whole time? Do you know that this mic was like facing the opposite direction? Like everything was going on. All kinds of things were happening. Let me plug my Mac in. Let me move this over. Let me put you guys up high in the sky. I never realized my house was so sunny until today when I started recording with you guys. Then I was like, my house is rather sunny. How is that? Sorry, y'all. I started fluffing pillows. I know that's inappropriate during a live, but I did it. Okay, so let me point you guys in a direction I can look at you. Let me get my phone so I know what you're talking about. I guess I can show you guys one more thing. This is just a sample of what I have. I have Africa, ancient Rome, and things like that over there. Oh, sorry, I wasn't in frame. Hold on. Is this better? Let me see. Kind of. I have Africa, ancient Rome. Hold on. I'm trying to get it so I can show you guys. I have Africa, ancient Rome, the ocean, and things like that over there. But I also love these big giant books. I'm a big giant book person. This is a big book. The African Wild, Cats, the World Atlas. Oh, it's so heavy. So 100 Cities of the World. So just lots of books for them to do research, read, learn about things. Japan. There are hundreds and hundreds of books in this house. So that pretty much is what I can say with regard to curriculum and homeschooling as far as like what I'm using. But like I said, I have other things around. I have things in the garage. Um, and the drills that I use, I will, like I said, I will upload on my Patreon, like us actually doing drills and lessons to give you guys idea because I love to do whiteboard drills and I have some techniques I think are really effective. And I also want to be able to address like questions, like what do you do if your child is having trouble reading or if your child is having trouble with math? Like what are the different approaches? And it's not always that the child can't get it right. A lot of times It's simply that your child learns in a certain way. You just have to identify. You just have to identify their unique learning style. So sometimes it's that. So let's see. I want to answer some of your questions. You used to homeschool, Shelly? Why did you stop? I'm curious. Don't you think you should teach your kids how to think if something is true rather than indoctrinating them to what you think is true? I think I addressed that earlier. That's what I think I did. Yeah, homeschooling is a good foundation. It is. And real life happens, right? I think that's unfortunate. Everybody should have the option to be able to stay home with their families, but unfortunately, the way the world works, it's not always an option. How do you teach your kids why it's important to learn all that stuff? And how do you make them curious about learning new stuff themselves? I think we don't have to teach kids that. I think kids are naturally curious to learn. And I think the problem sometimes is in our approach. So let's say I want to teach my child measurements. They may not want to sit down with a book and do measurements, but something they may have a lot of fun doing is coming with me to the grocery store and helping me measure out dry goods or helping me measure out apples and things like that in the produce section. So I think kids naturally want to do, they want to learn, like that's built in them. And so I think it's less of a matter of convincing them that they should do it or to want to do it as much as it is not forcing them to learn in the way that you see fit, but letting them learn in the way that's best for them. I think that is more the challenge that we face as parents. Oh, I sound louder? Yeah, that's because literally, y'all, the mic was like behind my computer and pointed away, and I just didn't even notice. I was just happy that I was able to move this stuff all the way over there. So I'm sorry if the sound was bad. Let's see. A little lower. Do I sound really high? What are you guys saying? Oh, oh. It was turned all the way up. Is that less like super loud now? You saw the life with Tommy a couple days age where he talked about you with that other girl? I don't know what you're talking about, Winnow. Okay. He was talking about the camera angle. I don't know. Anyway, so that's pretty much it, you guys. If there's nothing else you guys want to talk about, that is pretty much what I'm currently using for curriculum. As you can see, I'm not committed to any one curriculum. I like to diversify my curriculum based on what I feel is the best for the subject. And sometimes we never even crack a book. Sometimes I might do a complete whiteboard with math problems that I have created to challenge my child or to see where they're at. Sometimes we'll crack mini books. Sometimes we'll use worksheets. Sometimes we'll do tangibles. Sometimes we'll do real life practice. So we'll do something like I said, we'll go to the store, we'll go to a museum, we'll cook in the kitchen. Cooking from scratch is a great way to teach reading, to teach measurements and mathematics, have them double or cut a recipe, things like that. So I think homeschooling is just all about loving your child, having fun with it. And of course, we want to keep up with the universal or state standards just so that nobody accuses us of not teaching. I put heavy emphasis on reading and math above all things. I think if your child can do math and if your child reads at a high level, then you can teach them everything else. Something that I didn't mention is spelling. I don't put a lot of emphasis on spelling or in the beginning, only because I like to put more emphasis on writing and expressing yourself with the written word. It is much easier if your child can read at a high level. It is much easier to teach them to spell because in reality, if they can read the word, they actually know how the words are spelled. It's much harder to teach a person to be comfortable with writing. And as a writer, I don't know if a lot of you guys know that I'm a writer. I had my first play go to stage when I was 14 years old. So, as a writer, a professional writer, a paid writer, um, I recognize that it is very difficult for most people to fully, accurately, and eloquently express themselves in writing. And what I find with children is when you're always correcting their spelling, it intimidates them from wanting to write freely. So I would rather hear my child's thoughts and see their vision, um, and then we could work out the spelling later. Everybody doesn't approve of that, but I just don't care. I care about content because I can always address spelling. People spell the way that they talk. So if I correct their diction, if I correct their phonics, if they can read at a high level, I know that they can also spell at that level. And so that's pretty much where I stand with all of those things. I don't know that you guys have any other questions. So let's see. Yes, you guys do have questions. So let's see. Yeah, you missed a lot, Natasha, but that's okay. You can just rewind it. If you're interested in homeschool, you'll see it all. Just go back to the beginning. It's totally okay, Natasha. Um, Not at all. And if you guys have information you want to share with me, like we can learn from each other. I'm just sharing like my stuff, but I would love to hear about what you guys are doing. Um, Nikki V said, I'm new to your channel. What's my overall mission here on YouTube? I've talked about this before. Um, my overall mission on YouTube is to bring this into the real world. I feel like we need to have more real conversations. We need to, sorry, my hair was kind of, my hair was kind of falling down. I feel like we need to have more real conversations among each other, like with each other. I feel like we need to take a lot of our interactions here in the virtual realm and reproduce those in the real world. I think in the virtual realm, we are more open to various ideas, we're more open to different kinds of people. And I think a lot of times how we are here does not translate into the real world. Um, I don't know. Like, I want to actually have a relationship with you guys. When I first started my channel, I did a lot more sharing of my family and my life. And I asked that you guys make video responses. And I wanted to be able to have a dialogue with you guys. Like, the chat is nice, but I wish I could talk to each and every one of you. Um, because I feel like what is starting to be missing is a human connection and a sense of normality in society. You know what I mean? So I just want to do my part to reverse that and then hopefully like alongside you guys, not so much talking at you guys, but like as partners, we can do something that's like bigger and better collectively. I think like that's super important. Ah, no, I wasn't really letting it down pretty sassy, Libra. I was just rebunning it. So let's see. I do have a super chat. Some people have donated to my super chat. Not this stream, but in general. Natasha said, I started following you because your video on breastfeeding and responding to Kyra and Keelan. Good information. Thanks. Oh, thank you so much, Natasha. Yeah, that video I did on Kyra and Keelan was really close to my heart. I'm always telling people I'm a very old lady and I have several children, and I don't know. Like, I feel we don't have real conversations about mothering, um, being a wife, nursing, raising kids, and I love women so much. I always say, like, if you need a doula and I'm in your area, like, I'm so happy to help you. I just, yeah, that whole situation with them just broke my heart. I'm glad to see that you came over and that you stayed. I really appreciate that. They literally inspired me to start a YouTube channel. Like, I had been thinking about it, but then when I saw that, it literally just it broke my heart. Like, you just have no idea. I was so sad behind that. And I got a lot of pushback for that video, the two videos I made regarding them, but I was just being honest. Um, I just was. So, us old people have to have these conversations with younger people. I feel like we don't have practical conversations with each other anymore. Do I give my kids gift for Christmas? I don't celebrate Christmas. And their birthdays. I always celebrate birthdays. I always tell them your birthday is my birthday too. Like, your birthday is my birthing day. So I love to celebrate birthdays. I love celebrating people's lives. I do not celebrate Christmas. Nikki V, I'm very old. I am very old. So you're new to my channel, but I have a child that is in his 20s. He's 23. So I'm old. I'm old and I'm a mother of many children. People are still guessing how many children I have, but I have a lot of kids. You guys just see my youngest, but I've been a mom, you have to think, for 2.5 decades. So, I'm an old lady. I really am. I'm probably older than most of the people in my chat right now. Oh, thank you so much, Natasha. I appreciate that. So, with that said, you guys, I know this is my second live of the day, and I know that this is not one that's going to resonate with all of you guys because you guys are all not parents and you guys all do not homeschool. But I want to address everybody's questions, and this was important to me, and I really appreciate that I was asked to share it. Like I said, I will in the next 48 hours, possibly 48 to 72 hours, I will upload actual drills on my Patreon. It will just be at the $5 level so that anybody can access them. It's just because like I don't want to have too much of my family here on YouTube. And I will also do some updated drills in the next couple of days. So that stuff will be up there for those who are interested, like in application. And if you guys have more questions that I can answer right here in this space, I'm happy to do that too. And I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Thank you, The Real Cigar Chef. You're very nice. I drink a lot of water. No. I do not have Netflix. No, I don't. I don't like programming at all. I don't like staring at stuff and having passive experiences. Like, I find it very difficult to do and I don't enjoy it. So I watch pretty much nothing most of the time. When I do watch stuff, it's normally to research for YouTube. And I do like to listen. I said to Nyla Says, her sleeper series. I absolutely love her sleeper series. Her sleeper cell series. Thanks so much, Nikki. I'm looking forward to having you there. What can I start teaching my 15-month-old? She loves to write and loves books. Oh, that's so sweet. What can I start teaching her? Where should I start? This is awesome. Okay, so your 15-month-old. Let me tell you a couple of things you can do on the go and some things that you can do with her right now, like at your home. So, one, on the go, there are two apps. One is called Tally Tots, Tally. I'll type it in the chat. Hold on. It's called Tally Tots. Tally Tots, and the other one is called Alpha Tots. Just trust me, download those two applications. Those two will be great for your little one to teach phonics, counting, and things like that. Hand eye coordination, that's for your on the go time with your child. When you're at home, I say read books. Try to read books that have very few words. Anu's Counting Book is a good book. Any sight word books like Spot, those books are good books because you can point at the words if there's only like 3 to 5 word sentences, and believe it or not, your child will retain that and you can have an early reader. Tanagrams are great. If you go back to the beginning of this video, I showed tanagrams that are good for little ones. They're color coded, wooden tanagrams, and those are excellent. My 2-year-old was able to do those, and so your baby should be able to learn to do those. And by the age of like 1.5 or so, if you start now, your baby will do very well with that. So I would focus on things like that. I would focus on Tanagram. I would use Alpha Tots, Tally Tots. I would do reading with books that have either singular words like sight words or up to 5 word sentences per page. So you want to have like a 5 word sentence on a page and at most. So I think those are really good. You could even start with the 1.1, the 1.1 Houghton Mifflin literary Houghton Mifflin reader. That would be good for a 15-month-old. That sounds like really advanced, but trust me, kids are like sponges and you can really shove a lot in their little minds. Like you really, really can. It's astonishing. Let's see. If she loves to write, that's great. It's absolutely great. If you can get a non-toxic whiteboard marker, again, at the beginning of this video, I showed these really cute things I got from Lakeshore Learning where she can do big letters and things like that. Encourage her to color. That's really great. Finger paints, if you consider outside or in your kitchen and just suffer through the mess, allow her to do that. All of that stuff is really great with little ones. Virtuous one, water birth video. We can talk about home birthing. Yes. I have to be more thorough with that video because I want to give good information. So, yes, I don't know if I'll do it next, but every time you see me virtuous one, just keep bringing it up because I will definitely do it. I'm taking things off my list, but yours is one that has to be a little more in depth. Great. Please do watch the Ria Mottsville. What is it? Mohitsville? Mohitsville? What? Oh, awesome. Yeah, the comprehensive test, comprehensive curriculum and practice test, that those worksheets are flipping awesome. Like, I cannot rave about those enough. I cannot. Go to Amazon, though, because you can literally pay $50 for one of those. But go to Amazon. I'm sure that you can find some at a cheaper rate. I just dig for them. They're so good. I've never seen them in a store, but I know you can definitely get them on Amazon. Thank you so much, Pretty Sassy. Can you please make a video about the new drama with Keelan and Kyra? You can watch the video on YouTube. A lot of channels have already covered it. I want to hear your opinion. I will look into it, Winnow. I'll look into it. I don't like drama based stuff, but I will look into it. From what I saw of Keelan, he really loves her. That's what I remember from their channel. They're just young people and he really loves her. And if he's strict with her, that's his wife. And the first thing off top, without knowing anything, I will say is that their mom should not be putting her nose into business between a husband and a wife. Because when you get married, you cleave to your spouse and you leave your parents. So that's the first thing that comes off top. And just defense of them is nobody's parents should be involved in somebody's marriage. So if he's not bashing her head up against the wall, then Mom needs to keep her nose out of the business. Yes, virtuous one. Okay. So we will definitely do that video just for you, absolutely for sure. And with that said, you guys, I'm going to go. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that was helpful to some of you homeschooling parents. And I really appreciate the questions. Virtuous one, I'm all over that. Just like I said, just make sure you stay on me about it, and I will definitely take care of it. I will look into the Keelan and Cairo thing. Absolutely, Winnow. And with that said, I really appreciate you guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye bye.